Hey YouTube, how's it going? Heir of Carthage here. Gonna bring you some online commentary. This stuff isn't live, but I know some of you like the live commentary, some of you like the afterwards commentary. Doing line commentary is tricky though, and of course people always complain like, that battle wasn't very good. Well, I can't help it sometimes because on a live commentary, I get what I get, and I can't just sit here and like play and live commentate over and over and over and over again until I get the right one. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. Now, so these battles I picked out, I picked out for a reason. I hear a lot of you right now saying, Naginata units are overpowered, you can't beat them because they make cavalry worthless. I disagree. And when I'm saying that, yes, I'm saying it in a goofy voice. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to mock anybody who thinks that. I'm just being goofy. So, just the nature of the game here. So, I have plenty of cavalry. I've got a Naginata Monk Cav and my Fire Cav, and then I've got two Bow Cav here. And if you look here, my opponent has pulled out 3 more of his own Monk Cav, all of which have good upgrades. So he's fighting with those, and then he has brought a Naginata Rush Army. And it's composed of Naginata Attendants up front, and then he's got a Naginata Nun unit, or a Warrior Nun unit, and then he's got, let's see, Naginata Warrior Monks, I think 4 or 5 of them. Like I said, the Naginata Nun unit. He leaves one of these Naginata Attendants behind. So a lot of people are into these Naginata Rush armies, and a lot of people think that they're pretty unbeatable. So here he's got a Waco Raider as well, because he's trying to capture this morale shrine from me. And I'm not going to really let him do that without, some degree of resistance. And out here hidden in the forest, I've got 2 more cav, actually. Both of these are veteran cavs. I brought a lot of very expensive veteran cavalry, and I've been doing this for a few battles in hopes that I would run into one of these Naginata armies, or what some people call Naginata spam, and show you that they're easily beaten, even with using expensive, heavy cavalry. Now, a unit of Naginata samurai is a little more daunting to me, just because they are very immune to arrow fire. One of these armies of monks, now I am firing it as Naginata attendants here. I'm actually trying to micro elsewhere, so that's why I'm doing that. You really need to be firing at the weak units. As you can see, here comes his Naginata Rush. I'm going to counter-charge, because I don't want his units to get the full-on charge bonus. So you're going to see me clicking charge orders across the line. I do leave a gap right here in the center, which is actually really dangerous, but my opponent didn't exploit it. And as soon as his forces are good and committed here, I'm going to whip this cavalry out of the woods, and I'm going to swing around on him. Now over here, I've kept my cavalry close. I'm going to click some last-second engagement orders and then run some Naginata attendants over, and his cavalry will become worthless. All the while, he hasn't been counting on the fact that I have this whole hidden contingent. And like I said, I'm waiting for him to get good and engaged before I pull it out. So, right now, he's clearly winning the fight. Let's pause it real quick. Take a look at things. Now again, everybody's always trying to make it sound like cavalry can't do anything, you can't hammer and anvil people who Naginata spam. You can do it. You have to wait for the right moment. If you pull your cavalry out and they're just sitting there and your opponent sees it, he's going to keep Naginata units back to keep you from hammer and anvil attacks. So what I did was I purposefully loaded this wing with my cavalry, and it was expensive cavalry to make it look like that's all I had, so he felt comfortable putting all his cavalry over here. I'm then going to tie that stuff down, and you'll see that because he wasn't worried about a hammer and anvil strike, he committed all of his forces to this fight and didn't leave any reserves. So that is how you get the hammer and anvil. Now, monks have been recently nerfed. They're no longer resistant to morale shock, and their morale has been dropped quite a bit. So a hammer and anvil attack is very much a feasible option on them, because you get that, oh, what do you call it? They get that negative to their morale, or whatever, a detriment to their morale. So I did leave this hole in the center. My opponent starts to take advantage of it, and he gets a hold of some of my bow cav. I should have used this unit of Naginata attendants to fill the gap, but let me show you how quickly this happens. So I'm going to pull out my my monk cav, and check this out. Again, he's winning the fight. It says unit losing on all mine. And then check this out. I just slam into the back of his Naginata units. I don't even use my war cry because it's not ready yet. So this is without using war cry and the hammer and anvil. And look how quickly. And then I followed up with these katana samurai that I used for outflanking. And boom, that's it. There goes his monk units. They're dead. Done. Finished. So, I mean, that's pretty much all she wrote. The rest of these units are just going to get thrashed. And over here, it's the same picture. Once all those routed, it started affecting the morale of his other guys. And you can see that it's going to quickly start going against my opponent here. So check out my monk cav. It's already here. Here comes another unit of monk cav. And look how fast this battle is over. So I think for some of those of you who say that cavalry is worthless now because everybody brings lots of spears and naginata units, that's not true. It really has a lot to do with how you use it. And in this particular example, I used a lot of heavy cavalry units. You don't have to use heavy cavalry either. A light cavalry unit will get you the same detriment to enemy morale when you hit them from behind. Now, maybe the charge will be slightly less devastating, and maybe you won't get as many sustained melee kills, but it still works. So, and in fact, sorry, I forgot to save the results screens from these battles I'm going to be showing you tonight, but you can see that that was a clear victory for me, and it was very quick. So for those of you who think that hammer and anvil strikes are dead, you're wrong. It's just that you can't make it obvious what you're going to do, because to be quite frank, a hammer and anvil strike is obvious. And if you just have your calves sitting out on the flank, hoping that your opponent is going to be dumb enough to let you get around behind them or to not leave spear units there, then I think you're mistaken. So it's better off if you try and do something like what I did there, which is you kind of have to lull your opponent into a place where he doesn't feel the need to be so guarded. So in that particular case, my opponent forgot to scout those woods and didn't consider the fact that I might have hidden units, and it left him wide open to that hammer and anvil that I took care of at a decisive moment. So he only had seconds to react, and he may not have even noticed by that time, so I'm not sure. In any case, I hope that gives you a little bit of insight on maybe some better ways to use cavalry. I mean, they're not the same. Like back in the day when everybody was sword spamming, cavalry was much more effective because you could get into sword units and do a lot of damage, but people don't sword spam typically anymore, so you gotta know how to use your cavalry right and save it for the ideal moment. In any case, let's watch another replay. Now, believe it or not, YouTube, this next replay is actually a naval battle. I might bring you a few of these. Naval battles have changed considerably since the last time I showed you one. There are new units, and those units are quite effective. And they've changed some of the pricing and other stuff about the naval units. They've given some different special abilities. So here's the thing I'm going to tell you right off the bat. There's several new units. You have like the Samurai Light Ship, the Samurai Medium Ship, the Samurai Large Ship, the Firebomb Medium Ship, and I want to say that's pretty much it. You got those Samurai Ship that that come from the new DLC, and I'm going to be using quite a few of those units, so you will get to see them here. So hang on, let me check something just real quick here. Alright, I remember my game has crashed, so I just wanted to make sure I had the graphics on the ultra setting. I do. So right up front, I've got this Firebomb Medium Ship. So this is a Firebomb ship, but it's got 60 Firebomb throwers on it. So it makes this ship fairly deadly if it gets to close range. Now do keep in mind though, if you look at its range right there, let's see, missile range is 60, as opposed to say a bow ship, which has 180 range. So it's got considerably less range, a third less range. So backing up this, this is my Firebomb ship, and I'm literally using it as a fire ship. Now its special ability, it doesn't show it on here, but it has the special ability to bonsai, which is going to give it unbreakable morale for a short time. So that's exactly the purpose I'm using it for, is as the fire ship. And if you're not familiar with naval tactics in the past, and you use a fire ship, literally you light a ship on fire and run it into the enemy, ranks to cause disruption. So that's exactly what this ship's going to be doing, except unfortunately I don't have the privilege of lighting it on fire. But they're going to try and light some enemy ships on fire. I've got 4 Samurai Medium ships backing it up. These are just good all-around vessels. They don't have a whole lot of melee capability, but they've got quite a few archers. They are fairly exposed. So against like a heavy bunet or something in a shoot-it-out fight, they'll lose. But it's their special abilities, and this particular ship has whistling arrows and fire arrows and war cry. So this ship comes loaded with special abilities. Now the Samurai Large Ship, I brought 2 of them. It has 80 archers and 20 sword-wielding troops. These guys don't have the whistling arrows, but they do have the war cry and the fire arrows. So actually, when it comes to like bang for your buck, I kind of think the Samurai Medium Ship is good. But I brought these heavy ships over here just to lay down some more fire if he brought heavier ships. Of course, I've got Patchy's heavy bunet. Let's see if we can find the Patchter. Is he like in his quarters up here, I guess, maybe? I'm guessing he's like inside. I don't see him out on the decks anywhere. So, I don't know, maybe we'll see him later. And then I've got 2 Sengoku bunets, which are fast ships that are really just meant for boarding. If we take a look at my opponent's navy, he's got this Firebomb Medium Ship, just like me, a Siege Tower bunet, Firebomb Medium Ship, a Matchlock Kabaya. So this is his front. He's running front with these morale devastating units, and he's got a Samurai Large Ship, another Matchlock Kabaya, an Oataka bunet, which is a heavy boarding ship. He's got his General's Heavy bunet, another Heavy bunet, and another Samurai Large Ship. Watch my fire ship as it comes through. So I hit the faster paddle, I turn on Bonsai right as it starts to take fire, and watch this. My guys are going to hurl fire bombs just point blank and just blast these other ships around it, and it's going to lead to all sorts of issues. And then my target back here was this heavy Bunei, because I knew this heavy Bunei was expensive, and if I could get my firebomb ship close to it, I could cause an extraordinary amount of damage. This ship got lit on fire because of my firebombs and surrenders immediately. And then my opponent's firebomb ship of his own is not really in a good position to fire, and it's taking heavy fire from my supporting ships. So I moved in my large ships from the flank and my medium ships up the center. Now one of my ships is on fire now, which I'm pretty sure is my medium firebomb ship. But look what I did to this this heavy Bunei. Just destroyed its morale. And my ship came out of there good. And I'm also launching whistling arrows, and whistling arrows have a devastating effect in naval battles. So you definitely want to make sure you have some whistling arrows in a naval battle. Look at the morale of the enemy fleet here, just because of the quick firebomb attack coupled with my whistling arrows. There's some Warcry and other stuff going on here. So Warcry, though, it's good to save Warcry for just the right moment. Check out this ship here. It's on fire, and I'm trying to board it. It's got whistled, Warcried. Yeah, and then my general's right next to it. The general now has rally. Now, my opponent's firebomb Kabaya, or matchlock Kabaya surrendered here, and that's my Sengoku Bunei back there. Our banners look, somewhat similar in color, but just remember mine has this kind of symbol here. My Sengoku Bunei, I'm using it to try and board this matchlock Kabaya, just because it won't be able to resist. And if you look, most of his fleet is in complete disarray, and I've got my samurai ships here, which can unload quite a deal of pain. He does have his Oataka Bunei here, which is, like I said, pretty deadly in close combat, but the morale effects that I'm going to be able to lay down on this thing are going to be able to cause a lot of issues. Yeah, check out the path of destruction here that my firebomb ship left. And I think my firebomb ship routed also, but it did a great job, man. It got in there and did a lot of damage, and really put my opponent's fleet into disarray. Let's see if Patchy's come out onto the deck. Oh look, Patchy's getting boarded by the Oataka Bunei. I didn't realize that. Or no, never mind. That's his general's ship. This one's mine. My bad. And I still haven't seen Patchy come out of the cabin yet. I guess he's in there meditating. Yeah, so now I've got all of his ships completely surrounded. And you're going to see me still launching whistle arrows, and I'm using the Warcry ability to keep his units constantly under Warcry, but you can see the whistle arrows are going to hit my own guys too. So the whistling arrows are tricky to use at close range, but check out this Oataka Bunei, an expensive ship. It's really, really wrecked, and it's on fire and everything else from being close to my ships. Your general ship has fire arrows now, so it's also quite dangerous. I really think they did a good job making the naval battles a little more interesting. They're still not my favorite, but I think there's a little more diversity there, and it's not just like you can bring a ton of siege tower Buneis or cannon Bunei and like win the entire battle. So I think they added a lot of diversity to the naval battles. Check out the enemy admiral ship. So it's a good thing the admiral's inside, because check out all the arrows sticking to the side of that cabin. It's pretty funny. And I've got my Sengoku Bunei back here that I'm just trying to run around and board enemy ships with. I think I did manage to board one of his matchlock Kabayas earlier, but he's still got one here as well.
One of our ships has chosen dishonor, my lord.
Anyway, it was a good battle. My opponent did pretty well, but in the end I just got the better of his fleet, and he did go ahead and admit defeat at that point. Good game to my opponent. He was a fan of mine and was very polite, so it's a fun match. Hope you enjoyed that, and hope you get to see a little bit of naval strategy there. So basically I used, like I said, the firebomb ship to disrupt his formation and go in and make an initial morale shock. And while he was dealing with that, that's when I followed up with those samurai medium ships with the whistle arrows and the fire arrows, and just really started wreaking havoc on his fleet. So hopefully that was some decent naval strategy. I mean, I'm not a master of it by any means. But, like I said, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll get you some more battle footage here. We'll go ahead and make this a, what do you call it, a triple replay here. So I guess we've come full circle, because here we are back on Hida Mountains. This is another fan of mine, and I wanted to show you this game because it was a very close one, and I thought it was a good one. And I'm going to use a similar strategy on this map that I did last time, except slightly altered. So the thing about this map is it's got that morale shrine up in the center, and then you can see this little string of woods that pops out here. And what makes this tricky, is if you don't approach those woods from the right direction, your opponent can get his archers in there, and it makes it really hard for you to fight for that morale shrine. And if you lose the morale shrine, it's a very bad deal for you, because your morale is going to really, really be messed up because of that. So you definitely want to try and fight for it. You don't want to just hand it over to your opponent, or else, like I said, you're going to be in big trouble. It's just too important of a building to lose. If I were to say there's going to be 2 buildings that you never want to lose, you really don't usually want to lose the Sword Dojo or the Morale Shrine. I mean, the Archery Dojo can be bad, but I would definitely suggest not losing those 2. So I'm using a Naginata Court again, like I typically do, but I kind of vary it up a little bit depending on the match. Like you saw that one time I brought like the sword unit for outflanking and stuff, and again, the reason I use these guys is because they're versatile. And again, I know a lot of people think they're invincible, but if you look at their stats, they're good stats, but they are beatable by sword units, so don't think that they aren't. And my opponent knows this, and he's actually using some good sword units. So he's got 4 Katana Samurai, 2 Naginata Monks, 2 Yoriashigaru, 2 200 range Bow Monks, and then he's got 3 Monk Cav out here, 2 of which are upgraded. So again, I stacked some cav on this flank to make him think that's all my cav. I do have a hidden element here. I've got my long Yoriashigaru hidden, and this is a very tough unit in melee, even with other melee units, especially if it's in spear wall. Never, ever, ever attack a long Yoriashigaru from the front that's in spear wall. And I've got 2 unveteran Yari cav hidden in these woods also. So my opponent takes the better position here, just like I was talking about earlier. He got in these woods before I did and started opening fire, so my bows are going to automatically lose this fight. Plus, I forgot to target them, so I wasted shots on his Yoriashigaru. So my opponent has just won the missile fight, regardless of what I'm going to try and do here. So now it's going to leave me in a position where I have to attack my opponent. What he's going to do is he's going to start ignoring my archers, because some of them have a little bit of wood cover over here. He's basically going to kill this unit, and then he's going to start firing at my Naginata Samurai. And although they are resistant to bow fire, consistent fire from a bow monk unit will do a considerable amount of damage even on an armored unit. So you're going to see him start to fire. Here comes the fire arrows and everything else, and that'll also help do some damage. So you can see that he is doing some fair damage to this unit, and I can't just sit here forever and let him do that. So I am going to be forced to take the attack initiative here because of that. My opponent did a good job gaining the upper hand in the missile fight, and there's going to be little that I can do to overcome it. That's why he's ignoring my bow units and focusing on my infantry units, thinking that if he can knock some of them out, it'll give him a better chance. Now, some of my units are a little bit damaged from the previous fight, so here I pulled my cav out, and I'm hoping to catch these Katana Samurai right when they get into the attack. My opponent, though, is very much on top of the game, and he sees them, and he's moving his monks to intercept. I am going to try and get like just a quick charge in here to do some morale damage and some damage on these guys. I do try and counter charge, but I don't necessarily get all the counter charges. So here I do kind of a quick strike on these Katana Samurai. It doesn't do much. I'm going to have to get my cav out, and across the front, we're now completely engaged. My opponent's cavalry is holding off, and so is mine. And I'm trying to get my Yari cav away from these spears, and I'm going to try and get my long Yoriashigaru engaged. And I'd like to get these guys in spear wall, but unfortunately that tires them out and slows them down too. So, but I need to get people in here fast because I'm losing the fight initially. So across the board, I'm pretty much losing the fight except for on this flank where I intercepted this Katana Samurai with my Monk Cav. My opponent's going to countercharge with his Monk Cav, and so there's going to be a big fight, and I am beating his sword units right here in the woods where his bow units weren't able to do the damage to my troops. So here comes my long Yari. I'm going to be able to outflank this Katana Samurai, and I'm also trying to micromanage my cav. He's doing a good job of trying to keep his Yoriashigaru and his monks in my way. Here's my long Yari. It's going to come into the back of this Katana Samurai. My cav, though, is making its way around, and I see this flank over here where my opponent was doing good, but if I charge my Yari cav in here now, it's going to end up turning the tides of this battle against my opponent. And then I won right here in the center for the most part. My opponent had to reinforce with his Nagi monks. So he's on his second wave here in the center. And right here, this fight somehow amazingly... Now, of course, the replay could get messed up. It did. Yeah, the replay got messed up because in the actual battle, my guys won this. I don't know why the replays are like all bugging out. So I don't even know if it's going to happen the way it did during the actual battle, but we'll see. My opponent's going to reinforce over here with his Yoriashigaru where my cavalry came in and tilted that fight. My guys are still winning in the center against his Nagi monks, and they routed that sword unit. And yeah, you can tell that this one was corrupted because these guys are just sitting out here. In the real battle, my guys beat these guys due to some help from my Daiki Samurai. Here in the center, though, this is pretty much what happened. I was able to wrap up his units here in the center, and then I started using my Daiki Samurai to help throw down a little extra pain. It's so weird how the replays get messed up. This is very close to what happened in the actual battle, though, so it's really not much different. Except for, I think, yeah, okay, like I said, the timing's a little bit off just because of some of that stuff, but it should end up finishing nearly the same. And I'm sure that they'll probably release some kind of patch to try and fix the corrupted replays. But like I said, this one's pretty much what happened in the actual fight, with the exception of some of what's going on out here. And I was attacking his general at this point, and using my my Daiki Samurai attacking these monks who were routing, because in the real fight they were still over here fighting my units, and I was shooting at them and then back. So, like I said, fairly close to what happened here. It'd be funny if my guys actually ended up losing the battle, because that happens sometimes. Yeah, it was a very close fight. My opponent used an interesting strategy. My Naginata Corps ended up... Yeah, check it out. This is not the way that it went during the actual battle, too. So, uh-oh. Shogun spamming me again during a video. I think you all know what you need to do. Oh, man, he always does that. Tentative spam. Okay, no, you all don't really need to go... He's saying don't spam me back, spam. Okay, yeah, don't go be mean to Shogun. It was pretty funny that last time when you all went and spammed his channel up. But yeah, you should take it easy on him this time. I think you all got him good enough last time. And now he's saying, hey, YouTube spam. That's good. That's perfect timing. Alright, so yeah, here's my my men finishing off his general. This is more like how the fight finished here. My men won the infantry fight. That was the end of the battle. Again, sorry I don't have the results screen. I forgot to save them all. But hopefully you enjoyed those battles. Saw a little bit of strategy there. So, subscribe there, Carthage spam. Yeah, hopefully you saw the different strategies there. My opponent was using more of a sword court army, and it worked really well. Except for that eventually, you know, my reserves and everything wore down on him and everything. And he did a good job of ripping up my Naginatas and forcing me to come forward. It just so happened that because I had those cav around the flank and I was able to do some damage in a few spots, it helped tilt the battle back into my favor. But it was definitely a close one, and I enjoyed the fight. I don't remember his YouTube username. He told me, but it was like just in the chat, so I forgot. I apologize. I'm sure they'll make a comment. If they do, you'll be able to see who the YouTube user was. Appreciate this fan and all my other fans who watch the videos, and it's always fun to play with you online. It always leads to some good games, friendly games. And hope you enjoyed the Shogun 2 videos. I'll be back with you more in the future. Also, keep an eye on my Halo channel. I'm going to be shoving through a lot of Halo videos in order to try and get ready for the Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary release, which is coming up next month.